So I'm stuck awake once again at 1:30 in the morning and I don't feel even remotely tired. Last night I got maybe an hour and a half of sleep, an hour and a half and the night before I think I got about 2, and that was after a day where I hadn't slept the night before. So I haven't been doing great on this front, and that day where I had no sleep whatsoever, I ended up finishing my shift 3.5 hours later than I was supposed to. Now, thankfully, it wasn't a problem, it was understood, but um, I was exhausting myself. Um, like, I literally fell over um, because I was so tired. And I think today is going to be another day like that. I was supposed to have my weekend, but I got called in, um, basically saying that they needed me on deck because there was going to be so much work and they're understaffed. I could have declined, of course, but it's more money, and I've been looking into getting another job anyway, so it's better, you know, to um, do the fucking work there until I can get something for those days I have off. Hopefully that pays more. But um, I think I'm in for another day like that day where I had no sleep. And I'm not exactly looking forward to it. I already sort of see myself losing verbal fluency and generally being slower as far as thought is concerned. Today, I slipped up on several obvious things, and my working memory was clearly taking a hit. And so it was difficult to pay attention to all the things I had to pay attention to in order to do the job faster or as fast as I would usually do it. Um, and I think today it's just going to be even worse. But it's money. You know, initially when I got the text, I was excited to go into work. I was thinking like, I really enjoyed my day today, which I did. As exhausting as it was, I had fun. Um, and it's, overtime pay. I can get more money. But I've spent hours trying to sleep, and I can't sleep. It's the same shit, really, all the time. Like, I don't have access to anything to aid my sleep right now. And even if I did, I would build up tolerance to it and then eventually have to take a break. It seems to be the dynamic at play. Like, I was taking something to sleep or multiple nights, and now, I need to. I need to have a tolerance break. But because I only seem to be able to sleep at the absolute point of exhaustion, usually in the daytime, there's a predicament here where I have to go into work no matter what. But I'm going to do the job worse because I'm not sleeping. Walking to work, doing pull ups here on this squat rack, having the work be extremely physically rigorous in itself does not seem to affect the outcome, which is me not being able to sleep. I'll feel simultaneously incredibly tired, like I need to sleep, and like I'm being driven by a motor at the same time. I sleep when I am able to sleep. And even though I keep yawning, I can't sleep. There's all these physical signs that should indicate that I should be sleeping, and then it just doesn't happen. This was always like the main concern I had going into the workforce, because when I was in school, I had the exact same problem. I could not sleep at the same time every day. It wasn't uncommon for me to go multiple days being awake and then coming into school. I don't know why I'm like this. And so the focus of a lot of the videos on my second channel, since getting this job, has just been like, yo, I really need to sleep right now and I can't. What do I do, you know? There's not much I can do, though. I am just one guy. And I have to adapt. And either I'm going to bend or I'm going to break. When I was in school, I would bend too much and I would break. And that's why I dropped out of school. I could not handle the organized schedule. I couldn't wake up in the morning. And now I'm at this job, and the question is, am I going to bend or am I going to break? So far, I'm just barely bending as far as sleep is concerned. The actual work itself is enjoyable. Getting to work isn't enjoyable because car-dependent infrastructure. The work is enjoyable. Working without sleep is not. And also working on an empty stomach is not. It seems that every internet person I've ever encountered or talked to just never eats. Like, I eat enough to feed like 6 people, which the Eurocucks watching this video might think that's 6,000 calories. That's not. You people are absolutely insane. That's more like 12,000. I eat a lot consistently. But it seems that every internet person I encounter just never eats and then seems to be able to gain a lot of weight anyway. I don't know how that works. Also, Euros. Euros are like even worse about this. There has to be some kind of genetic defect on that continent that like makes them grow out so much while like never eating. And when, you know, Karesu, the YouTube channel that I live with, can attest to how much I eat. And it's insane to him. But prior to having this like real life contact that can confirm this to my friends on the internet, whenever I've tried to explain this to them, they've just denied it every single time. Like, no, I don't believe you. There's no way. There's no way you can eat that much. There's no way you can count calories like that. Never mind the fact that I see all numbers as stats, and the opportunity to measure my stats going up somehow is like a natural form of progress that I'm able to derive value from. Never mind that. No, I don't count calories. No, I really don't eat that much. Um, you know, but it's like people aren't interested in what what they know about me or what they could know about me. They're interested in um, their idea of how things work being confirmed. Now, this is a problem I ran into. Um, there was this Ukrainian, I think homosexual, some kind of fag, um, who commented on my video about how I enjoy working, like, it's over for me, I'm not going to watch your videos anymore. And I had to think, like, how insanely insecure certain parts of my audience are, or like how unwilling they seem to be to listen to perspectives that disagree with them. Because when I made that video, why I detransitioned, it was the same thing. There was a prominent comment like, I guess I'll unsub, best of luck to you. And it's like, were you only subscribed to me because you wanted to see someone agree with your point of view on gender issues? And my actual point of view on the issues hasn't even changed. Like, I still roughly see gender as a social construct that can be changed. I say things like, trans women are women. Like, I'm nominally pro-trans on all the issues. Um, there's certain extreme aspects of it that I'm very critical of, can be a little bit of a centrist on. But by and large, this is something that I'm going to have common ground with these people on. It's just not something that I would like to indulge in as far as my own life is concerned. Um, and I express that in a somewhat ostentatious way, given that, like, I'm referencing a pole meme in the video and, like, holding a gun. But even when I was doing that, I still said, like, oh, hey, if you're trans, maybe you should get a gun like this, you know? Like, you can, if you know my videos and you know me, you can see the support that's there. But I guess the ambiguity and the lunacy of it all is kind of the point. Like, I don't want to just be like a banal lifestyle vlog channel um, that uh, makes like innocuous statements about um, how my day is going. I like having the aesthetic flair of um, kind of referencing like the Jewish question and like adopting a lot of like right wing aesthetics um, and showing the guns in the video and like, you know, like agitating terrorism essentially in a joking way, of course, as comedy. Um, like, there's these ostentatious things that I've always done in my videos. Um, I would say to play up a character, but that's also just kind of how I am. Like, I enjoy indulging in extremes and speaking like that because I think an essential part of the joke is that it's ridiculous. My favorite kinds of jokes have always been like being ridiculous in like a dry way, as if it's like completely matter of fact, you know? Um, that to me is hilarious. Um, I've always had like a pretty dry sense of humor. Um, and it seems to be something that perhaps confuses some people. Like, that's also part of the joke, though. like, part of the joke is the ambiguity. It's the reaction that I'm going to garner by upsetting people. That it's like, if you're offended, good, it's a joke. Um, all of this is to say, to get back to my main point, like, I think there are sections of my audience that have a very, very surface level relationship to my content. And so they watch a video like this, for example, thinking, I want to watch a video of neat guy who agrees with me. Or I want to watch a video of trans person who agrees with me. Like, they're so insecure about what they think that they need that kind of external validation from a person who can articulate themselves well and who has, like, at least a decent level of charisma. Um, it's sad to me because I talk to people from all kinds of persuasions, and my favorite conversations by far are the ones that challenge my preconceptions. I look for content that does that and for people who do that, even if it's just a reiteration of things I've heard prior. If they're presented in a different way or framed in a different way, I can be given the opportunity to attack them in a new way or to perhaps change my mind. And I think, like, there's an intuitive fear so many of these people have to changing their mind. When, like, they hear someone who they thought of as articulating themselves well, that they go to agree with them, suddenly disagreeing with them. It's like, why is this articulate person able to say these things? Um, this can't possibly be true. And it's like, well, maybe it's not true. That's the assumption I go into with a lot of the things I say. I say them either assuming I'm wrong or assuming that if I'm not wrong, I don't really know the answer because there's always more context I could have. And so I'm incredibly open. In fact, I want to be proven wrong because that strengthens either the new position I've gotten or forces me to frame the old one in a new way. That's a form of self-improvement. And so always kind of surrounding yourself with a diversity of viewpoints, inundating yourself with the mindsets of and the talking points of people opposed to you in some manner. It's just good. It's just good. I disagree with my friends on all kinds of things. It's why we're friends. So many of my favorite videos are videos that explains a point well that I disagree with. Or maybe not even explains it well. Like, sometimes it's just funny. Like, I'm more invested in the personal narrative of a lot of people who say these things as well. I want to see their journey or see them explain their perspective well. But so many people, they want to create a bubble. And the moment that it seems like that bubble could be popped, it's like they just go nuts. Because they've spent so much time in an echo chamber that they don't even really know how to argue for their points of view. If they knew how to argue for them, they wouldn't be so insecure when they hear someone who disagrees with them. I miss when everything was less toxic as far as the discourse is concerned. because there was a time when we could all sit at the dinner table together and we could talk, and he thought this, she thought this, and that was okay. There weren't these firm partisan lines that everyone felt like they had to take a stand on, or else it was like a life or death situation. Um, they they could just exist, and people respected that. But now everyone feels like they have to be a soldier for their group. The in group must exist, excluding the out group. And if you're not in, well, you're not in. And it leads to these situations where we can't even have dinner together anymore, as a family, for example, because everything has just gotten so extreme and toxic. That isn't to say I don't have extremist positions of my own, relative to the country I'm in, but I can talk about them with people who are much more moderate or extreme in the other direction. I can be friends with those people. Now, it's true that people often become close to people who have the same perspective as them, not because they're putting themselves in an echo chamber, but because the gradients in those discussions is really interesting. You know, like, you talk to someone who fundamentally has the same framework about the specifics, and you can kind of riff with one another about them. And getting granular like that is a way of being close. I understand that, but that doesn't mean that that should be the only thing that you have, because then you run the risk of creating an echo chamber. And if you're not constantly challenging your own perspective, then your brain is going to default to thinking it knows more than it really does. When in reality, it's like, you don't know. I don't know. We don't know. And I think if people had that mindset more often, they would be a lot less insecure about the things that they think, a lot less annoyed by anything that disagrees with them. There's this feeling that people seem to have like they're attacked by other people's opinions. Like, and this seems to exist on both sides. There's the social justice warriors who want to be offended by everything and want to gaslight everyone around them into, the next woke, or whatever the woke train of thought is now. They scold everyone around them for not using language as a certain way, and then of course, whenever they adapt, it's never enough. It's just more and more and more, forcing people to adapt, because it's a type of control they exert over that person, and they get off on that. And then on the other side, you have the culture warriors who want to dictate your behavior in a different way. They're disgusted by, innocuous kind of immutable characteristics that many people have, like, say, sexuality or race or something, or, I don't know, they're upset about someone's religion or creed or something, and so they get up in arms and offended at everything in a different way. Oh, how dare you have that gay kiss on television, or how dare you use this swear word or violence in media or something. Like, it's all about trying to silence people because you're overly offended by every little thing. And it seems like there's a growing acceptance on both sides in the wake of this increased polarization of being offended by every little thing. Like, we need to tone the conversation down just a little bit. Like, let's all get back at the dinner table together. Let's start talking to each other like we're human beings with emotions and personal lives and struggles of our own. People who really, at the end of the day, have more in common than different. I think most people are generally more similar than different. And yet we focus on the differences so much. We focus on the differences more than anything else. Even though there's more things that bind us together. Those things seem so easy to look over. Like, the things that stand out are way more prominent, and so that's a reason for us not to cooperate. It's really just removing people's humanity, divorcing them from their humanity. And I think it only facilitates insecurity. Because if you were more confident in your positions, you would be more willing to be proven wrong. You wouldn't care whether or not you're right or wrong, because you wouldn't have your views as an intrinsic part of your identity. I don't identify with anything I think. I'm just a person. Identifying with your views is what prevents self-improvement and positive ideological or social change. It's what brings about those situations where no one feels like they can talk to each other anymore, and you just get into an echo chamber. The world has just gone completely nuts. Everyone has gone nuts. And I'm saying this as someone who can't even sleep at night to go into their, like, normie Wagie job, you know? If I can figure this out, I feel like a lot of other people could. And I think a lot of people know, it's just the people who know they're not being listened to. Because there's a propaganda apparatus that exists that is built to make you disgusted by your fellow man. There's intelligent usage of certain immutable characteristics people have, or traits people have, that propagandists will cleverly put at the forefront to try and make the side that's opposed to them look the worst they possibly can. When in reality, that side is a pretty large chunk of people, and so there's going to be lots of diversity there. But you're being primed, you're being trained to see the other side in a certain way, to dehumanize them. And it's like everyone is doing this. Everyone is trying to make, like, conservatives, for example, look like low IQ chuds who act and don't think, who, are the absolute worst version of whatever advocacy they're trying to do. And then on the other side, you have, like, the conservatives trying to make all left-leaning people seem like weak, or, uninterested in self-improvement. Like, the idea that right-wing people have co-opted the idea of self-improvement in the internet discourse is just absurd. When, like, half the country has, or even more probably, has, like, nominally left views, and a lot of those people are probably pretty strong and are probably improving themselves. Like, the idea that you uniquely have the monopoly on this, is a farce. But there's an intelligent usage going around of the worst advocates for that side, or the worst examples you can give, in order to prime you to think that's all that there is. Thereby taking a fairly neutral thing that everyone wants to do and everyone thinks is good in some way and turning it into a political issue, saying we have the monopoly on that, so come to our group. So these things aren't political issues. Like, I feel like so much of the conversation about life has been turned into a political issue, when, like, a lot of these things are pretty neutral. Um, they're just they're just things, man. Like, you can you can say that this or that population might have more or less of a predisposition to certain behaviors or life outcomes, and you can provide existing political views or the things that would lead them to have those views as like a reason, but it's just one reason. Like, there's usually a bunch of different reasons people do the things that they do. Um, and I feel like the politics that people end up having is probably the least important one, um, at least in comparison to the amalgamation of other factors that would lead them down that road. And so it's not so much that it's a black and white issue. It's more that, like, these things are precisely not black and white issues. And these partisan figures want to make it look like so many aspects of our lives are partisan issues. They're not. They're people issues. And we need to be coming together as humans, seeing us as our fellow man, seeing us for what we are as our fellow man, and cut through all of the noise, all of the nonsense. Just level with one another. But that's left out of the conversation. Um, and I worry about where things are going to go from here, because it seems like things are just only getting more and more extreme as time goes on. Extreme has become the new normal. And I worry about it because I just want to go back to when everyone could talk to one another, you know? This was supposed to be a video about how I can't sleep. I guess it became this other thing. I don't know. You got to listen to all perspectives. Um, I was thinking about that comment a lot because there have been multiple people with these new strings of videos who have said, like, I'm not gonna watch you anymore, and I feel like it's indicative of this polarization. Um, Beyond that, I really do wish I could sleep. uh, you know, I'm gonna try my best. Um, we've we need everybody on deck tomorrow. It's gonna be a very, very busy day, maybe the busiest day I've ever had. So, you know, discipline. More pain, more discipline. I just hope that I'm not so slow, so encumbered by 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 my lack of energy that will inevitably stem from not sleeping enough to be able to do the job well. Um, because I need this job. Um, I'm gonna be going out to live on my own sooner rather than later, so I need a source of income. There's a lot of jobs where I live, um, and even not where I live, just in the general area of where I'm at now, because no one wants to live here, except for weirdos like me. Uh, so I'm not exactly cynical about my prospects in the very unlikely event that I fuck this up somehow. Um, I just don't like the idea of having to put more time into finding something else, partly because I do enjoy this job. Um, I had a lot of fun cleaning today. I listened to a lot of Japanese pop songs that were like fun and energetic, and I think it made me work faster. I still finished later than I was supposed to, though. About like an hour and it was, yeah, about like an hour and 40 minutes late or something like that, which wasn't as bad as the other day. Like 3.5 hours is way worse, but you know, I can feel my stamina improving with every following day, but I need to pick up the pace. I really need to pick up the pace. Some days I've worked super fast and I finished early. Um, I think my stamina would be better if I had better sleep, but how am I supposed to get sleep if I'm not able to sleep at night, if my internal clock is wired for sleeping in the daytime? Um, and it's like I can't just rely on sleeping aids because those eventually lead you to not being able to sleep properly. So I can't do that exactly. So I'm just kind of, if physically exhausting myself isn't working, what option do I have? That's the problem. Um, gonna be gonna be tough. You know, what can you do? Life is tough. Life is tough for everybody. Um, everybody experiences a lot of stress, and yet somehow they're still able to derive some kind of fulfillment from their lives and look at their life at the end of the day and go, there's some things worth living for. I think I have certain things worth living for. And so I acknowledge the transient nature of all of this stress. It's temporary. You have one hard day, maybe another after. Hey, there's an easier day. Then you got the weekend. Or you got the time at the end of your day, at the afternoon or the evening, where you can do things that you enjoy or stay around people you enjoy. It's all about having gratitude for those moments and being able to have the right mindset for the stress and the pain. I think I do have the right mindset about it. I think it helps me appreciate the pleasure I have in my life and being able to enjoy the progress I make, improving it at the job, um, and and improving as far as discipline is concerned. Seeing my stats go up in several different stats, like it helps. Now, Monday is the best day of the week. God is with us. And with that, I'm gone.